Fastball is wide. He lays off of it. Ball one. Low. Ball two. The crowd is reacting negatively. They want to see Maris get something he can swing on. There it is. $61,000, somebody. He got his pitch. Look, $5,000. And here is the fellow with 61. You're seeing a lot today.
Nobody ever has, Red.
Long before the explosion of digital media, there was a man whose voice carried the pulse of baseball to millions of fans across the United States. His name, Red Barber, a name synonymous with the game of baseball and the golden age of radio broadcasting.
Gianfrido walks off second. Mixes off first. They're both ready to go on anything. 2 men out, last of the ninth. The pitch swung on. There's a drive hit out toward the right field corner. Henrik is going back. He can't get it. It's off the wall for a base hit. Here comes the tying run, and here comes the winning run. Friends, they're killing Lavagetto, his own teammates. They are beaten into pieces, and it's taken a police escort to get Lavagetto away from the Dodgers.
Born in 1908 in Mississippi, Walter Red Barber was destined to change the way the world heard baseball. As the voice of the Brooklyn Dodgers, and later the New York Yankees, his unparalleled skill behind the mic made him a legend. Red Barber's journey to the broadcast booth began long before he was calling home runs in Brooklyn. A gifted athlete, Red played baseball at the University of Mississippi, but it was his love for radio that would shape his future. His first break came in 1934 when he was hired by the Cincinnati Reds to be their radio announcer. But it was with the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1939 where Red truly made his mark, quickly becoming one of the most beloved voices in baseball.
Hello, everybody. This is the old redhead, Red Barber. You all set for another big baseball game at Brooklyn? Well, that's fine. Let me show you for a second how I get set for a ball game. First, move up here against this microphone. Got my old goals handy. Put my lighter right down there where I can reach it. And now I'm really ready. Just as long as the game goes, I'm going to look at it. And every so often, when I get a chance, I'm going to light an old gold. I really like this cigarette. For my money, it's the tastiest I've ever known. Smooth and mild. They give me a treat instead of a treatment. And you know what the old gold folks say, don't you? We're tobacco men, not medicine men. Old gold cures just one thing, the world's choice tobacco, to give you a treat instead of a treatment. That's what I want in a cigarette. And I've an idea that's what you want too. So you see, I'm all set. How about you? Got your old goals handy? I hope so. Then you'll enjoy every second of the game. Now they're about ready to go. So suppose you light up your old goals, sit back, and take it easy. And let's see what's going on. Now this Red Barber saying, I hope you have a good time.
Red's voice was a signature sound, warm and clear, with a unique ability to describe the action and bring the game to life. But what set him apart was his storytelling. Each pitch, each play, each moment, framed with a poetic touch.
Campanella back of the plate. Gil Hodges is at first base. Second baseman, Jackie Robinson. At short is Captain Pee Wee Reese. Third baseman is the hands, Billy Cox. Out in left field, we have George Schuber. Center fielder is Duke Snyder. And the right fielder, Carl Corello.
Red's impeccable ability to capture the excitement of the game left listeners on the edge of their seats, as if they were right there in the stadium. Red Barber wasn't just a commentator. He was a part of history. One of his most defining moments was his call of Jackie Robinson's debut in 1947, the first African American to play Major League Baseball in the modern era. As the voice of the Brooklyn Dodgers, Red captured the emotional gravity of that moment, forever etched in baseball history.
It was a shock to me when Mr. Rickey told me in confidence that he was going to bring a black player. He told me this before he ever knew Robinson was coming. He told me this in March of 1945. And he didn't come in touch with Robinson himself until late that year. But I knew Mr. Rickey, when he said he was going to do something, he was going to do it. And I had to examine myself. Of course, Mr. Rickey gave me time to either make up my mind to broadcast properly through a very stormy period or quit. And my first reaction was, when I came home, told Lala that I said, I'm going to quit. I don't think I can go through with this. And she said, well, very wise woman. She said, you don't have to quit right now. Let's have a martini. And I began to think about it as the days went by. And I had to understand that it was by chance that I was born white. I could have been born black. I could have been born to any parents, any place, any time. Judge Landis was not dead. And as I wrestled with myself, I heard the voice from the grave saying, report. And that's all there was to it. That's all I did about Robinson. I merely reported him, and he did the rest.
And Jackie Robinson, long a spark plug for them bums, gets them off and running to prove how rough it can be.
Mr. Rickey said to Robinson, I know you're competitive, violently competitive. I know you have stood on your rights as a black man, including fighting the United States Army until they gave you an honorable discharge. But the only way that you can be the first black man to successfully integrate baseball is that you must accept the injuries, you must accept the beanballs, you must accept the profane, foul curses. And that's the story of Jackie Robinson. It's not in his base hits or his percentage or his stolen bases. To me, the story is Robinson, the spiritual man who didn't answer back for 3 years. And that is what made it possible for the others.
After the Dodgers moved to Los Angeles in 1958, Red Barber had a falling out with Dodgers owner Walter O'Malley. However, Red Barber continued his legendary career with the New York Yankees, calling some of the most famous moments in baseball history, including Mickey Mantle's World Series heroics. Red Barber's influence didn't stop his broadcasting career. In 1978, he was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame, a testament to his enduring legacy in both sports and the broadcasting world.
Standing at a microphone, a newspaper man at the ballpark spoke in the phone and told him what was happening in the ballpark, and as best Tommy could do, he tried to report it over the air. It was so successful, there was no World Series broadcast the next year. But then something dynamic happened. Graham McNamee was assigned the broadcast for NBC in 1923. And there is the greatest voice that radio ever had. And baseball broadcasting was on its way. The first play-by-play regular season was done in Chicago by Hal Totten.
who I understand is still alive, and I hope someday will have this honor. He was indeed a pioneer, and baseball broadcasting really exploded in Chicago. In 1932, such was the field effect of radio that the major league clubs came within 1 or 2 votes of banning radio broadcasting completely. If it hadn't been for Phil Wrigley Sr., they would have. However, the Yankees and the Giants and the Dodgers signed a legal 5-year anti-broadcasting pact, 1934 through 1938. 1938 was MacPhail's first year in Brooklyn, and the first thing he said was, "I'm going to broadcast next year." And Eddie Brannick of the Giants said, "If you do, we'll get a 50,000-watt station, and we'll get the greatest radio announcer in the country, and we'll blast you into the river." That's the East River. Well, when I saw MacPhail at spring training camp, he said, "I've never given you an instruction, have I?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "And I'll only give you one more." He said, "Here's what Brannick told me." And he said, "Now, I don't like to be threatened." He said, "I've got a 50,000-watt radio station." And he says, "And I've got you, and I don't want to be blasted into the river." I like to think he wasn't.
In his later years, Red Barber remained a beloved figure, not only in baseball, but in the larger world of sports journalism. However, by the late 1980s, his health had begun to decline, and his public appearances became fewer. But even as his age began to take its toll, his legacy lived on in countless broadcasters and fans he had influenced.
What this game was all about. I wrote a book called The Broadcasters, and I dedicated it, and let me read the dedication, because as I show you this, what I'm saying in that book is also for this, and for Mel, and for me. This is for Graham McNamee, and for those others who first went into a new land called radio, armed only with carbon microphones. Thank you.
Though his voice had gone silent from radio booths, Red's influence remained. He had mentored countless broadcasters, and his impact on the craft of play-by-play commentary was undeniable. It was clear that, like the game of baseball itself, Red Barber's contributions would never truly fade. In 1992, the world of baseball broadcasting lost one of the most iconic voices. Red Barber, whose career had spanned more than half a century, passed away on October 3rd at the age of 84. By the time Red Barber passed away, his voice had already woven itself into the fabric of baseball. For over 50 years, fans had listened to his calls, hanging on every word. He had described the drama of America's favorite pastime. He wasn't just the voice of the Cincinnati Reds, Brooklyn Dodgers, or even the New York Yankees. Red Barber was the voice of baseball itself, capturing the emotional highs and lows of the game with grace and precision. His career had spanned from the 1930s to the early 1980s, witnessing and narrating some of the most iconic moments in baseball history. Red Barber's death left a void that would be felt for years. His colleagues, friends, and fans mourned not just the loss of a legendary voice, but also a man who had been a guiding light for so many. Red Barber's voice may have faded from the airwaves, but his impact on the game of baseball and sports broadcasting is eternal. A true pioneer, a storyteller, and a beloved voice who captured the spirit of America's pastime. The legend of Red Barber lives on, and his legacy continues to inspire generations of broadcasters and baseball fans. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Red Barber's legendary career, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Baseball Legends Chronicles, and comment below. Do you have any Red Barber moments you would like to share? We would love to hear from you. And until next time, keep the history of the game alive. And as always, thanks for watching.